Welcome everybody to BigGunner81 Live, presented by Applied Arsenal Finishes and Gunworks. The range at 35, Spent Up Precision. Check them out, spentprecision.com. Eggleston Munitions. And I had it all backwards because I did it all out of order, but I believe that's everybody. So forgetting someone, and I apologize. Oh, Trace Armory Group. That's our newest one. I knew I was forgetting someone. Yeah, Trace Armory Group. ReplacingLuck.com or ReplacingLuck.net, I believe it is. I'll get that right eventually. I'm horrible with names for a while. So welcome everybody in the house. We have with us tonight, we got TJ, the Lead Slinging Ginger on Instagram. And we got Kent from Green Mountain Firearms Training. Defense.
Green Mountain Defense.
Green Mountain Defense. There we go. Told you, I'm going to mess up names and stuff from the get-go for a while, and we'll eventually get it down. We got our friend Joe Gizzy in the house as well with us tonight. Welcome, Joe.
What's going on, gentlemen?
Not too much. Welcome. And, of course, Corey from Southern Style Beards.
Hey, guys.
See, I got yours right because you've been on here for a while, so I'm starting to remember some things. Anyway, we're just kind of doing an open chat tonight for the most part. Maybe talking a little about some EDC stuff, what we all carry, just some interesting little tidbits and whatnot. Maybe about some educational things. So also, before we get started into the show, I think I want to kind of share with everybody that I've been working on with our friend Brandon and Prater. Sorry, I can't speak. Brandon Prater has been helping with our website for the 50 states of AR-15. And so I'm going to kind of do a screen share if this works and show you what it kind of looks like right now. We're still working on the graphics and things like that on it. It's still new, so keep in mind this is basically just the beginning of the website. So when you go to the 50 states of AR-15 or the 50 states of AR-15.com, kind of brings up this graphic here in the background. And then I started putting together like the homepage a little bit. And we've got, of course, the video that kind of talks about the project overview, so to speak. And then we've got this map. You know, it looks like the globe. It's a Google map. Maybe you've seen these, like, you know, when you go to Google Maps and whatnot, and it kind of looks somewhat familiar. So all these little spots on the map, as of right now, actually are linked to different posts on our website. And each one is basically the town and state of the lower receiver for that state. And this way you can kind of click on them. And I'm going to kind of just give you an example. I think because we've been working on updating all these different little posts for each state that we have completed so far. Let's see. We've got, for example, Minnesota shows Little Canada. That's where Obsidian Arms is based out of. So if you kind of click on the little balloon icon, it brings up Minnesota build. And this is the title of the article. You can click on it, and in theory, if it's working correctly, it'll bring you to the Minnesota build page. Basically, it's a post on WordPress here. And so on this page, as of right now, and we're still populating it with all the information and everything. It's got like the rifle build overview video that talks about all the components and everything in it. We've got a high-speed assembly video. These are all videos that are posted on our YouTube channel as well, so you can view them there. This just kind of lays out and organizes it. We've got some of the interviews like we did with the owners of Obsidian Arms, Randy Luth here, and Terry Bender from Hyperfire, and of course our friend Tim from TACOM. And mine's going blank on this one. I know the company is I think it's U.S. Arms is the name of their retail side of their company. Anyhow, so as of right now, I don't have a whole lot of information written in here yet in photos, but we're going to add that as we go along. So next things that are going to be kind of being filled in are like the specs of the rifle, like what components went into the rifle build, kind of a breakdown with the links to the websites for the companies that make the components, things like that. And I guess add some photos and whatnot, whatever kind of content we have, just to kind of fill it all in. So it's kind of organized by the state. So if you're curious what's in our rifle build and so forth, you can go to this website now and kind of see that. And it kind of helps track the progress. So for example, when we have a receiver set, maybe we don't have the rifle built yet, we'll have the page set up for it and have like some of the information on the components that we have so far. We may not have the video posted for it yet, or maybe we'll have some of the interviews that are completed for the, whatever company's components we have in that build at that point in time. But it's kind of a way to kind of see what we have going on all the time and just check it out. And as I mentioned before, it's a living project. So we're going to see like changes to rifles along the way. For example, California, can go back to the main page here. Our California build, if I can, here we go. So, and just opening up the page. In California build, we had like some changes we did, like, for example, I did this update number 1, I called it in the video. This is where we had the Medieval Industries components that we added to the rifle, like the 360-degree vertical foregrip that they make. That's pretty awesome. And their TX3 takedown pin tool / end plate that we added onto the rifle. So as we make changes, we're going to update with new videos as well. And, say a component, like a company makes a Gen 3 of a component that we have on the rifle, and we decide to change it out for the latest version. We'll do a little update video talking about the differences on that particular component and things. So there's really a lot of layers to this project, and it's a lot of fun putting it all together. It's a lot of work too, so it's taking a little bit of time. We've had a little bit of a lull. I say a little bit. We had several months that were where we haven't actually posted up videos for rifle builds. Several reasons for that. And I mentioned it before and so forth, like our move. We've moved from Illinois down to North Carolina, so there's a lot of stuff that's kind of getting settled in and everything still. Also, that we've been working on this website, trying to put it all together. Again, I can't take a lot of credit for it. I did some of it, and Brandon helped me get the grunt share of getting some of the stuff that we were the organization of getting the maps and stuff put together. He helped with all that stuff and everything, so I can't thank him enough for that. Just trying to get components together for some of these builds. Right now I had found a Hawaiian receiver, for example, and I'm still trying to get in contact with that company again from about almost a year ago that we talked about it last. They didn't have any available because they were waiting to send them to anodizing and this and that. But so far, it's the only company I found in Hawaii. So I'm crossing my fingers that will eventually come to fruition, and we can get the receiver set for Hawaii sorted out. We still have plenty of states to do. I want to say, I lost count off the top of my head, but there's probably at least 20 or at least 30 or something like that states or so to go as far as receivers anyway. So that being said, got a lot going on with the project there. Still more to come, so stay tuned on it. But also the Ohio rifle, that's the next one. I've been saying it a couple times. I've got most of that. Actually, I think I got all of that filmed for the rifle build video now at this point. It's just a matter of doing all the editing and putting it all together, going through and sorting out all those video clips and everything, and figuring out which ones I didn't mess up my words on and that sort of thing, and editing everything, and putting together the rifle build itself, the actual start to finish of the assembly, and making the high-speed video takes a bit of time to kind of go through there and edit out all the little pieces that we don't need, like parts where I dropped a tool and things like that, because nobody wants to see that. It's kind of boring. But anyway, now that I've rambled on for about 10 minutes almost, I guess we want to talk a little bit about our EDC gear. And I'm not going to go first on this one. I'm going to say, TJ, do you want to step in and go first on the EDC, what you use for carry purposes?
Oh, yeah, sure. So I've actually got a couple different choices. Probably my first choice, truth be told, is going to be my Smith & Wesson Shield. Very simple, standard striker fire type pistol. It's probably one of the things I like most about it is the overall concealability. You're still getting a decent quantity for ammo capacity, so 8+1 in this extended mag that it comes with. It does have a flush fit mag. I think it's 7. Hardly ever carry with that. I always keep that in a pocket, but I never have it in the gun. But this is just good for all-around carry, especially in the summertime when your clothes are lighter. Going up from there.
How does it compare in the size to the Glock 43, by the way?
Actually, they're very similar in size. I think the Shield is a fraction of an inch shorter in length. So I don't even want to say the barrel's any shorter. I just think the overall configuration of the slide is what makes it just a little bit shorter. But height-wise, they're practically identical in many ways.
Yeah, not to derail your thought on it. The reason I brought that up is Laura actually has the Glock 43, and I want to say it's a 6+1 maybe. I forget. I can't remember off the top of my head now. I think it's 6+1. I'm going to say if I had to guess.
Yeah, the two things that drew me to this gun specifically, because I even compared this to the Glock 43. At the time, the factory trigger on the Glock 43, and they have since improved it. The factory trigger on the Glock 43 was terrible in comparison.
I tell you what, I'm impressed with how it shoots.
Yeah, it shoots fine, but trigger. I don't get. Sadly, I don't get to shoot rounds through it before I buy it, so I have to go purely off the dry fire trigger performance, but also the price. I wasn't looking for, a high performance, package in a compact 9mm carry pistol. So just that $30 price difference or $40 price difference, and the trigger again at the time is what drove me to this. So I carry that predominantly throughout the year, and then next up is my SIG P320 compact.
Nice.
I just recently switched over strictly to SIG P320s away from Glocks. I got nothing against Glocks. Love all these guns. The M&P, and I would even argue that they're all really the same thing, right? It's a striker-fired pistol. The technology is going to be identical in many ways, but there are little nuances with each gun, and I'm a strong proponent, or at least a strong believer in that there are some guns that people will naturally shoot better. Okay, be that more accurate, just handle the recoil better, just overall manipulate the firearm smoother.
And that's an individual thing sometimes. I mean, really is.
Right, and I had a Glock 23 for the longest time. I've actually had two of them at one point. And I picked up the SIG P320, I fired it, and I was like, holy God, this thing's amazing. And I just shoot it really, really well. And there's
now,
a
what
lot
about the trigger on it? Did you get that? Did you send it in for the voluntary recall?
I actually did. This one I did. I've got a full-size P320 RX that I shoot for competition. Also handles beautifully. This one I sent in for the upgrade. I had to turn around in about a week.
Cool.
I was one of the first ones to go through it. The trigger is the same, like the trigger pull and everything's the exact same. It made no improvements to it. It also didn't degrade it either. It's the same as it was when it left. But the only reason I sent it in for the upgrade was because there are instructors out there who, due to insurance purposes or personal preference reasons, would not allow non-upgraded P320s in their classes.
That makes sense.
Well, I could get into the argument that those same instructors probably have Series 70 1911s that are not drop safe either.
Right.
Are probably worse so drop safe than the P320 was before the upgrade. But, it is what it is. So because that's the gun that I carry, that's my EDC. I'm not wearing it for competition. That's what I would take to a class if I was going to train with it. Or if I was going to take that particular class, that's the gun that I would bring. I wouldn't bring my full size. So I was like, you know what? It's a free upgrade. I'll send it in, whatever. I will note that, so for those watching that have multiple P320s or the exchange kits, send those in as well. I cannot take my full-size slide and put it on that trigger group now. Because of the machining they do. There's I'll show it to you. So
you can't use your slides I'm sorry, explain this again though.
Okay, so I've got the full size.
Right.
This one has this whole gun's been completely upgraded from SIG. Now I can take the full size slide and put it on this gun if I wanted to beforehand.
Right.
But and it's really hard to see. I'm going to do the best I can from this camera, but you see this piece right here, the shiny piece sticking up. I should get my handy dandy nerd pointer. This piece right here sticking up.
Mm-hmm.
So they machined a recess into the slide, and you can see it right here on. Right there, there's a recess that they actually machine into it to make room for that thing to come up and down. It actually moves vertically in the firearm as the trigger group is functioning, right? Well, because of that knuckle, I can put the slide on here, but the trigger will be dead. Because
so
it keeps,
basically,
it keeps
they
down.
They didn't just modify the fire control group; they modified the slide as well.
Yes, there's a very small piece that they machined into it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Now that makes sense.
So if you wanted to maintain the original point and purpose of that system, which was interchangeability,
you need to send everything in to have it upgraded.
I'm really glad I heard this because I have a few 320s myself, and I was debating on sending one in or not.
Yeah,
I guess it's all or nothing. Yeah,
I learned something new too. I mean,
yeah, just send everything in, get it all upgraded if you're going to do the upgrade. Now, I maintain that it was not any less safe than beforehand, right? Because if you remember, and I don't want to rehash drop again too much, but it had to fall exactly in this position in order to get it to discharge. And I confirmed it. I, like many other knuckleheads out there, had to prove it for myself. So I put just a primed empty case in it and dropped it. And I had to drop it like 5 or 6 times, but sure enough, it went off. But yeah, if you're going to send it in, send it in.
So back to the carry options and stuff. So that's your main carry options. Do you have anything else?
I have one more. This is my 1927 model Colt Sistema. It's an Argentinian Colt. So for those history buffs out there, when Colt almost went bankrupt in the 1920s, they moved their factories to Argentina.
Wow.
They had an agreement with the Argentinian government that, hey, while you're using our factory, you will hire our workers, you will manufacture 1911s for our military, and when you leave, you're going to leave your equipment. So that they can maintain that armament. Well, this is one of those 1927 era Colts. That's what it started life as anyway. It's still got all the original stamps and markings on it. However, everything internally is not.
Looks like it's ported too, huh?
No, it's not ported, but I did have the slide tri-topped. This was done by my buddy Jeff at Blackbird Armory. He's a good friend of mine. He and I worked at the gun store together a long time ago. But yeah, he tri-topped the slide. He put some lightning cuts in the slide for me. And man, this thing recoils like nothing else.
So those cuts don't go all the way through the slide where I'm looking at the barrel?
Oh yeah, you're looking at the barrel.
Okay, so that's not considered porting.
No, porting would be in the barrel itself. Now he did target crown the barrel and match it up with a bushing.
I thought people refer to that as porting the slide. I don't understand the porting the barrel because you have the ports on the barrel to vent the gases to help with, muzzle flip and so forth. But
yeah, I think it's a regional thing, honestly, like versus Coke versus pop or soda versus pop. Where I come from, these are called lightning cuts, as in lightning the slide.
Yeah, remove material, lighten it up.
Yeah, that's all it does. Now, could you port it? Absolutely. But I didn't want a ported barrel in a carry gun.
Right.
Because I had a buddy who had I think it was a Springfield, I think it was called the V10. And it had 5 ports on either side of the barrel, and he shot it from inside his car. We won't go into the details why he had to, but it actually set his ceiling on fire.
Wow.
Yeah. But this is a full-fledged, full-size, government model, 1911 in 45. I'm not a brand or a platform junkie. I have an equal love for all my firearms. But this one's of particular interest to me just because it was my first 1911. It started life as that Argentinian Colt. I bought it used, and I bought it as a project gun. Now, because of my various deployments, I didn't have time to work on it to the degree that I wanted to. So I gave it to my buddy Jeff, said, hey, man, while I'm gone, will you fix her up for me? And he turned this thing into a hot rod. He really did a great job with it. But it's got a Tango down flat face trigger, Nighthawk match grade barrel, all custom internal trigger work done by him. This thing breaks at about 2.5 pounds, and it breaks like a glass rod. I mean, it's just a smooth shooter. Had it Duracoated because the original condition that it was in was just terrible. So, but yeah, this is my, I guess you could call it for my tuxedo purposes.
Okay. So what about knives?
So I've got a few knives. I don't actually have any on me right now. I did a pocket dump before I came down for tonight. So I've got an out the front Microtech that my wife got me for one of our anniversaries. I carry that from time to time. But truth be told, my workhorse has been a Benchmade Osborne. I've got pictures of that stuff on my Instagram. If you guys check it out, it's buried in there somewhere. But that Benchmade Osborne has been my go-to workhorse forever. I took it with me on my first deployment when I was in the military. I've had it ever since. That thing is scratched up and marred, and it shows its age, but it sharpens easy, and I still use it to this day.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, that's a good deal. So, Kent, what about you for your EDC?
So, Glock 19, 4th gen, with a Suarez International custom slide on it. The ST149 from those guys. Running an RMR, suppressor height sights, Surefire X300. Carrying it in a holster from a company called Black Rhino Concealment. We were talking about them offline before. Yeah, I mean, I've got just like you were saying. I mean, we got SIGs, we got revolvers, we got all kinds of stuff around here. But for me, it's either this guy or potentially perhaps a G43. Also with that, what is that? The Streamlight TLR6, I think, the little light setup that they make for that thing. But this is my honest to God everyday carry. I've had this slide on this gun now for just over a year.
Let me ask you something too about that with the RMR. Do you leave your RMR turned on?
I do.
And I don't know what the battery life is on that off the top of my head.
I'm never going to find out because I'm going to change it every year. But supposedly 5 years.
Really? So you can leave it on there? I didn't realize that. That makes sense.
Supposedly, yeah. It's got like 6 settings. I use the top one from there's like the very top brightest setting, which is like, I don't know what the hell brightness you'd have to be in to ever have to use that, but I never use it. And then 1 down from that is like daytime for me. And then 2 down from the top is like where it's at right now. It works pretty good.
Nice. I'm actually, I don't know if I have an RMR on my carry pistol necessarily, but I do want to have one of my Glock 19s with the RMR on it.
You know,
or a similar red dot, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest. I'm a convert. I didn't know if I would like it either. I have a pretty bad visual. I have an issue called keratoconus with my dominant eye, where my cornea is actually cone shaped. I didn't really realize what kind of a benefit it would give me, but it's really nice to be able to maintain one focal plane and just focus on a threat. So it works good for me.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So what about you, Joe?
Yeah, it's not as interesting as what we've talked about so far.
It's all right. It doesn't have to be.
I have a car CM9. It holds 7 rounds, and I have an Alien Gear holster. I'm not crazy about either one. I'm kind of in the market for changing. Not really sure what I don't know. I'm still kind of doing some research on exactly what I want to do. I mean, I haven't really found something that I've fallen in love with, either if that's a holster or which firearm to use. I'm kind of picky about, like, what I find comfortable and things like that. But obviously that's not important. The important thing is, that you're carrying and what you're carrying. But but at the moment it's a Car CM9. I kind of acquired that for the summertime, and now that the winter's coming, I'm looking to get something else, or maybe just trade that in. I don't know. The M&P Compact is interesting. I'm kind of going to look into that, but I'm really just kind of just learning, and I'm just going to maybe try a couple more out before I make a permanent decision. I don't know if anybody's had any experience with a lot of experience with inside the waistband as far as recommendations on what's comfortable. I mean, Alien Gear is fine. It's good, actually, but I don't know. I probably want to try different positions, or I'm just kind of I don't know. I'm not set or sold on anything yet, so I'm kind of just out there looking for things.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense too. About like we all kind of experiment with it until we figure out what works for us, and then sometimes, like in TJ's case, you got a couple different options that you might use for different things. It makes sense. Like, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Or a couple minutes here, we're going to talk to Corey a little bit and see what his ideas are, and I'll get into kind of sharing some of my thoughts on it. So Corey,
here's the paper.
He's like,
I'm finished.
He's doing homework in the show. Finishing
up my paper here. Actually, I just printed it out. But anyways, my everyday carry, it really just depends. I mean, I've only got holsters for my Glock 17 and my Glock 19. The only difference is on my I said Glock 19, didn't I? Glock 23. The only difference is between my 17 and my 23 is my 23 is a Gen 3, whereas my 17 is a Gen 2, and my 23 has an Enforce APL tactical light on it. I use a Tier 1 concealed Aegis holster. The good thing about those holsters is that they have a strap of leather on them with button snaps, so you can easily remove the mag carrier from it. And it's generally an appendix carry, but you can move it any which way you want, I guess. But a lot of it's used to quick draw from appendix carry. Let's see. I use a Microtech switchblade, and I'm not. My dad bought it, and he just gave it to me. It's a little bitty pocket knife. It's not very big. I'm sure TJ probably knows what I'm talking about. I wish I had it with me, but I don't. But normally when I carry, I try to stay inside the waistband. But I do have a little bit of knowledge open carrying too here in Indiana. So sometimes when I open carry, I'll open carry my micro compact Springfield 1911 45. It's a 3-inch. I think it holds 7 with one in the chamber. So I'll do that if I'm like feeling fancy and feeling froggy. Be like, hey, check this piece out. But I mean, because you can do a Glock up real nice. I know like Agency Arms has got one. Siva has their slides and barrels. Lone Wolf's got a nice barrel. I just everybody's unless you really absolutely know somebody that can do it for you, a lot of us probably don't have the funds to go and actually get it done. Especially with me, I just found out today I have to have 2 more leg surgeries.
Oh man!
So yeah, but anyway, that's besides the point. I carry a lot. Most of the time, I have my 23 in the car. and my 27 normally stays in my sock drawer because it's a full size. So
Okay, cool. So I'll share a little bit about my everyday carry experience. So when I first got my concealed carry, the only like full size pistol, or I say full size, but I had a 22 pistol, and I had my SIG 226. So the only, like, I wouldn't say real pistol, but the only pistol that was of a caliber that I thought would be, you know, good for carrying would be my SIG. So I started out with that for a little bit. But full size, you know, concealed carry, you can do it, but it just it wasn't the most comfortable thing to try to do. So, you know, I had tried out Glocks before. A friend of mine has a Glock 17. I tried that out, and I didn't really have the experience with shooting it. Wasn't like, oh yeah, I really like this. You know, it really fits well for me or anything like that. It was kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like a bland, you know, gun. It works, but it's not really for me. And I wasn't going to write off, you know, Glock entirely. I'm just like, I just wouldn't go out and, you know, buy one right away, you know, based off that initial experience. And then I'm out shooting with another friend, you know, months later or whatever, and he happened to have I believe it was I want to say Gen 3 Glock 19. I know it was a Glock 19. And tried it out. And I'm like, wow, I like kind of like shooting this. Like I kind of like it, you know. And so I ultimately ended up buying the, you know, Gen 4 Glock 19, as you can see. The only thing done to this one currently is this extended mag release. Again, safe to check, but try to turn it so you can see on the camera. Just like a little like raised bump. I like it. It's actually, I believe, aluminum. It's from Crux Ord. They're based out of Illinois. They it just, for me, that was one of the downfalls of a lot of pistols, is trying to reach that mag release with my thumb. Well, I got a mag here, but I'm not gonna load it. This one I can just, you know, reach it much easier. Just that little bit of extra, you know, raised portion there of that mag release. So that's what I have done to this one now. I'll talk about my holster real quick. Aries Tactical holster, you know, Kydex. You know, you can adjust the tension on it and so forth. And we're using the Alta clip on the back here. I really like these Alta clips. You can get them, you know, basically for, I should rephrase that. They work with many different style holsters. Basically anything you'd have like a J clips on and so forth. They have, you know, different holes and slots and stuff, so they're very adjustable. What's nice about it is you don't have to have a belt necessarily to use it. So I'll bring it up to the camera. You know, your fabric, you know, the top part of your pants, whatever fabric you're gonna clip it onto, just slips in between there, and you just clamp it down. And it actually holds in place. I believe these clips are rated for like 90 pounds. So, you know, if you have to pull 90 pounds, pull your pistol out of your holster, you got a problem. So your holster's gonna stay put. What I also like is, say like you have, for example, like a gym bag or something that you want to just, you know, store your pistol in, and you want to have it in like your go bag, for example, or even a range bag, and you have it in the holster. Well, you can put it in a pocket and, you know, clamp down on the edge of the pocket, and now you can reach in your bag if you need to and pull it right out of the holster without having to worry about the holster coming out with it. So it gives you some options. They're really nice. And like I said, they work for like many different holsters. Some of the other styles that have like 2 J hooks on them, you can put, you know, 2 of them on there and so forth. I know we were talking about with Joe about the comfort of, you know, what works for holsters and things. And I've had a couple different options that I've been able to try out as far as inside the waistband holsters. And of course, you know, it's very much a personal preference type thing. Everybody's shaped differently. Things work for different people differently, you know, so you really want to try. That's why a lot of us have multiple holsters in our closet or whatever. Excuse me, not just for, you know, the different pistols, but also for, the fact that sometimes we got to figure out what we like the best and what's going to work the best. One of the holsters I found that was pretty comfortable, but almost excessive in a sense. Kinetic concealment holster. I like it. It's nice quality. It has it's like they call a hybrid holster. It has J hooks on it, which I probably would change out to these, when I use it and so forth. But it's like a part Kydex and part like a leather with a neoprene backing. It's a little bit bulkier, but it's also padded, so it's a little bit comfortable in some sense. Then I also did have one for my SIG 226, of course, different pistol, which was an 8 squared tactical holster that had one J hook on it. That one, the only thing I can say about it is it's not a bad holster, but you have to get used to how to use it. And why I say that is that one has, and I don't have it here in front of me, but it has like a neoprene backing and like a polycarbonate shell that goes over the front of the pistol. Well, it kind of dips into the trigger guard, and in order to release it out of the trigger guard, you kind of have to twist the pistol in towards your body to move the trigger guard away from the little hump on the polycarbonate. So you'd have to get used to twisting your grip slightly to pull it out. I don't hate it or anything like that. It's just something that's a little bit different. But there is tactical. This is just, to me, I like this holster a lot. I like carrying it in appendix carry. And it's it just fits really well. Granted, the downside with carrying this particular one for me personally, this being the Glock Gen 4, one of the things with some of the other pistols that one of the other holsters, if you have a backing behind it, that can help be a little more comfortable. But you've got this, I guess you can call it stippling, the texture that's on this grip. That's rubbing against your skin all day, too, if you have it right up against you. Of course, if you have an inner T-shirt on or something like that, then you don't really have that problem. Just things you think about, and you may not think about, or you want things to consider, I guess, is the way to put it, when picking out your carry option.
Issues like that, too, right? Just rubbing against or like catching a shirt so it would stay up, and then if you don't notice it, you could be printing. It's just like stuff like that. I don't know. I just haven't found something that's really worked well.
Exactly. So to add to this, not to get too long-winded, but to add a little bit more, what I was going to say is I do like my Glock 19 Gen 4 quite a bit. Laura's got the 43. I didn't think I liked the 43 at all because smaller guns like this is compact or whatever. But when you get into the small single stack guns, you lose the round capacity, and you also lose that sight radius because you're getting a shorter and shorter slide and so forth, and you're also increasing the recoil. So oftentimes when I'm picking up a smaller gun, I find that I don't shoot as well with it and everything. And picking up her Glock, her 43, I'm like, damn, I actually can shoot pretty decent with it. I was actually very surprised at how comfortable it was to shoot and how well I could shoot with it. It's really kind of different for me. So I'm thinking, I like the size of it. And like I said, it's comfortable to shoot and everything too. The only drawback is the round capacity. You're going from I think it was 6 rounds in their standard mags. You can get a +2 floor plate to put 8 rounds in it. But of course, Glock 19, we're at 15 rounds in the mag. So you're cutting your mag capacity instantly in half, for the most part. So that's the drawback to it. But also, as mentioned, different times of year. If you're in a climate where it's cold out and you're wearing heavier layers, it might be a little bit easier to conceal, a little more comfortable to conceal a full size or not full size necessarily, but a compact that's double stack. Versus summertime where you're wearing lighter clothes and stuff, you need something maybe a little bit smaller to kind of conceal a little bit better. That's what I'm kind of thinking about, picking up a Glock 43 for that reason. Again, I wasn't really sold on Glocks at first, but and I don't say this in any sense of being blanketly saying I like all Glocks, because honestly, I'm still kind of hung on the 17. I think the Gen 5 is a little bit nicer. Or I say nicer. I should say I think it fits me a little bit better, in a sense. Believe it or not, it's like sometimes the little small things make all the difference when it comes to which pistol is going to work for you and so forth. I know I can tell you one of the things I don't like about the 19, not to get too far off topic, but the trigger guard here, you put your hand against it. I feel like it's almost like a pinch point for my fingers. I think a lot of people feel that way. That's probably why a lot of people do undercutting and so forth. I bought a second Gen 4 19 frame, basically a whole half of a Glock in a sense. It was all brand new, with trigger and all that stuff, just for modifying. As a lot of you guys know, I have the Spinner Precision, blank slide for it. I'd like to get that cut. I assembled it, tested it out and everything. But the reason why I was kind of going that route was not necessarily just to have, hey, I got a second Glock 19, but I wanted to kind of keep my carry pistol kind of more in a stock form, with the exception of like the mag release, because that's something that's really hard for me to do otherwise without having that extended mag release. But build like a second Glock 19 just to kind of have as a hot rod, like something that I'm going to, maybe I'll use it in a competition or something. But just to kind of experiment with, maybe do some custom stippling, doing some undercutting, to kind of play around with it in a sense, and playing around with guns is not the best way to use the terminology, but to basically have that freedom to experiment without trashing, if I screw up something, my everyday carry gun,
That's another thing I like about the P320 line. I've got, without getting too specific, ballpark figure, how much did that lower half of that Glock 19 that you purchased cost you?
About $250.
Yeah.
For Gen 4.
Yeah, you know how much the grip or the grip module for the P320 costs?
About $50.
40.
Okay.
You can hack away at these things all day long, man. And if you mess it up, it's not. Oh, and it's not.
I understand. I got a P250, so I get it. And that's I've thought about getting a 320 at some point also. Just for that fact, I actually like the X5. I really do.
Man, and I tried when I got my P320 RX. I was looking for the X5, but they were almost nowhere to be found. And I'm not one to purchase a firearm that I haven't been able to hold.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's always the hope that SIG will release the caliber exchange kit for the X5 line, because the grip modules and there are some differences. Yeah, it was. Those are some sweet guns. They got their X5 carry now too, which I think you'll probably like.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, they've got the X5.
Isn't it like a $700 or $800 pistol though for the X5, the full size?
For the full size, yeah. But if you think about it, you're getting a full size gun. It comes with 4 21-round magazines.
Yep.
And the removable rear sight plate for any optic you could possibly want. I mean, compare that to any other gun. You can
buy a TP9 SFX that has the removable plate for whatever you want to put on it, and you can pick them up for like, I forget how much, but I want to say like $500-600 at most. Yeah,
you can, and those Canics are great too. Nothing against those.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at trying to get one of those for testing. They're since I've seen them come out, I've kind of wanted one just because it seems like a good all-around entry level for competition use and so forth.
Oh, absolutely.
For an awesome price. We were checking out the TP9, I guess just the regular TP9 when they first started coming out to market through Century Arms at our friends up in at MGS Firearms, and it's kind of neat. They come with a holster and mags, whatever it is. It comes with a nice amount of accessories for the price. Very reasonable. So I don't know.
Oh yeah, I think those, and actually the Walther, I think it's the PPQ-M2. I might be getting the nomenclature wrong, but the Walther line of competition ready guns is really nice too. The triggers on those and the Canics, I was incredibly impressed with.
Yeah, definitely.
I got a question, guys.
Go for it.
Anybody EDC medical gear?
Yep.
That's something on my list I want to try to learn more about.
What are you carrying, TJ?
I've got a full IFAC in every one of my vehicles and one in my wife's vehicle as well. I mean, we always keep a regular first aid kit with basic survival stuff, fire starting, signal mirror, whistle, stuff like that. But yeah, antibiotics that we might still have, we cycle through those. I've got 2 kids, so there's always a point in time where someone in my house has antibiotics that they're on. But of course, at least the one tourniquet that comes in the IFAC, I actually have. When I go to the range, I have 3. So there's the one in the bag, one in my range bag, and then there's an extra one that I always keep in my glove box.
I'm with you on that. I carry IFACs all throughout, but I meant like on your body in your daily life. Have you figured out? I'm looking at the. Well, not looking at. I have it in, and I'm working with it now. The Pocket Dark from Dark Angel Medical. I'm just trying to see if
okay, so for on the body type stuff,
yeah,
I am a strong proponent of look at your actual lifestyle. And I'm using this term very broadly, but for safety's sake, the EDC community is a lot of self-licking ice cream cones. It's all about just making the sale and trying to sell as much stuff as possible. To people that might not necessarily need it. I am an IT security engineer now. I work from home. If I'm not working in this exact chair that you guys see me here on every week, I'm in my vehicle traveling to a hospital to do my job. So I'm usually not far
Gotcha.
and that's something that needs to carry on to other things that people purchase for EDC as well, not just for medical stuff, but even for your firearm. Take into account what you actually would use.
What are some of the tourniquets you guys use? I know there's a couple big names out there. Rat's tourniquet is one of them. I think it's the biggest.
So that's kind of that's an interesting discussion in and of itself. But the Rat's tourniquet falls on 2 sides of the coin, right? You got the people that you have the testing. I've seen the video evidence where it does work, but then you have everything's about TCCC qualifications, which TCCC really isn't a governing body. It is a framework of instruction. Okay. It's just saying TCCC is the same thing as saying generally first aid.
Right.
It's the same thing, really. Okay. There's not some TCCC organization that vets and approves for use these things. But there's some people that say, well, people in the TCCC community, or it's not TCCC approved, will say, well, if it's not approved by them, I'm not going to use it. When it does work, I would argue that something like that takes a little bit of training to get right. So I carry the standard soft T tourniquets that I picked up when I was in the military and just from all my deployments overseas. And that's just because that's what was available to me. But if I had to, I'm old school. I'll use my belt if I have to. It's stop the bleeding. That's the point.
Yeah. So
the thing I do like about the Rats is how small it is, though.
Right. Yeah. Very, very compactable and easy to get into something. So what are your thoughts on using? Say there was an incident in a range. You have all different kinds of things when it comes to the line of gauze and clotting. I've seen quick clot gauze. I've seen the type of quick clot powder.
You have to be careful with what you get with that, though. There are some. The older versions are based from shellfish.
Mm-hmm.
So if your casualty has a shellfish allergy, you could put them into anaphylactic shock.
Okay.
Now, I think Celox is the name brand. I don't think it's shellfish based anymore. I think by and large that's becoming a thing of the past. But you do need to be careful with that stuff that you use. The quick clot stuff is always a good thing to have, but at the same time, if you have a compression gauze, and I mean the actual like 12 to 14 feet of compression gauze in the sealed package, or an Israeli bandage or anything like that that comes in a standard Army issue IFAC, you would be fine. I would also mention something to make sure you have is the equipment, or at least the packaging of one of your bandages to use to treat sucking chest wounds.
Explain that a little bit. A sucking chest wound.
Yeah, so sucking chest wound, typically when you have a bullet enter the chest cavity, it goes into the chest cavity but does not come out, and it causes a lung to collapse. You will actually have the pressure, what causes that lung to collapse is the pressure that's coming in from the entry hole. Okay, so the air coming in from the outside into the chest cavity is forcing that lung to collapse. So you need to seal that off, but there's a certain way you have to seal it off in order to still have it functioning. There are ready-made packages or bandages available for that kind of stuff. I think they're, I'm trying to remember, a butterfly valve, I think is the name for it. Actually, a really good example of it, and this is echelons above, this first responder medical type stuff. But if you watch the movie Three Kings with Mark Wahlberg and George Clooney, at one point, Mark Wahlberg's character gets shot in the chest. When they put pretty much a needle into his chest, like right around his shoulder area, down into his chest cavity, so that they could release the air pressure, so his lung will reinflate.
Some kits even include decomp needles for TPX, but that's a whole other.
Yeah, but you can make a butterfly valve with so the Israeli bandage comes with sterile. It's almost like it's a really thick. I want to say 10 or 11 mil plastic. That the way you open it, you cut it open to where it opens up flat, and you can use that as a butterfly valve if you tape it on 3 sides. But there's a particular format to do that. I recommend anybody that wants to explore more into that realm actually go get formalized training.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I'm interested in doing, is getting some medical training like that.
Yeah, there's a lot more to it. Yeah, there's a lot more to it than just applying the tourniquet. If you get shot in an extremity, the leg, the arm, whatever have you, that tourniquet all day long. But injuries to the abdomen, or just the thoracic cavity in general, so the abdomen up to the chest, that is a completely separate critter all in and of itself, and there are different ways to treat those injuries.
So would you suggest something like a bug out bag that has surgical kind of equipment into it, like in its med kit?
Only carrying what you are trained to use.
Okay.
It's that simple. At the very least, a tourniquet. I mean, obviously, even if you're not trained to use that at the lowest level, you know how to apply a tourniquet.
Right.
So at the lowest level, a tourniquet, compression gauze, and an Israeli bandage, and a SAM splint.
Well, let me ask you this. Now, if you don't have the training to use it, yes, I think that may be the thing, is not to use it, because you could use it improperly. If that's what we're kind of getting at. But what about if someone else nearby has that training and you don't have the equipment? Would it not be beneficial to have it anyway if you don't know?
That would be the only other category. So let's take, for example, the concert shooting in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
That is a perfect example of what you're getting at, Rick. Is there are benefits to having that type of equipment available. If you have a full EMT kit in the trunk of your car, even if you're not an EMT, there were doctors and surgeons that were in that concert crowd that you could have said, "Hey, doc, come here. I've got this equipment. Let's get these people fixed up," and then you can support that effort, understandably. But how likely is that to occur?
Right, it's less likely. Sure.
So my recommendation, and that stuff's expensive. If you look at some of these EDC kits, like you were talking about, Kent, those things get expensive.
Yeah, it costs what did I pay for it? I think $60. I mean, it's no bigger than like your iPhone, really. And I've just been experimenting on trying to get it to flatten out a little bit, and because I have the like regular range IFACs and stuff, but in my world, I'm around sharp metal all the goddamn time. I mean, a laceration would be possible for me or something else. And I just thought, you know what, of all the stuff I'm carrying, why not throw something in a pocket? Or in my case, I have a tool bag I carry around with me for work. So throw it in the pocket of a tool bag, which is where it's ended up.
Yeah. So, and the reason I say with only carry around with what you're trained to the level that you're trained is, one, because of the likelihood of, you need to be able to handle, what you can, right? If you have to weigh the options and look at the situation that you're in as to what you could use. And yeah, in an extreme case, could having a full surgical kit or combat medic bag in the trunk of your car be beneficial? Yeah, but what's the likelihood of you stumbling across a surgeon or a doctor that might be qualified to use that stuff? It's slim to none, right? And I say that because a lot of that stuff is cost prohibitive. I mean, we're all ballers on budgets here.
Right.
So cranking out $500 for a full-blown combat medic bag packed to the gills with everything you could use you're really just not in the cards in many cases.
Oh, we lost Joe. Lifestyles of the preppers.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, I've tried to. My wife's a registered nurse, and I told her, I said, get the advantage of the doctors. Learn how to suture somebody up. What if something goes on and Red Dawn breaks out and I'm your only hope and I get shot and you got to stitch me back up?
I still haven't seen it yet.
What?
I know.
Guys,
TJ, I think, told me the other day it was on TV. I'm like, I forgot, where was I at? I told you, I'm like,
you were at that comedy show.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was seeing Jim Gaffigan. I kind of lost a little bit of respect for him. I gotta tell you that, because sidebar note of that. He's like, yeah, I didn't vote for Trump, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not gonna hold that against him. But he's like, I'm friends with Michael Moore. I'm like, really? I don't think I would have told that story.
No, that was the punchline.
It might have been in some respect. Maybe I missed it. It went over my head.
Because nobody says I'm friends with Michael Moore is like a one-up. That's not how that goes.
You might be right. Maybe I just misunderstood it, but it was still fun to do. So before you get rocking out here pretty soon, I had this on my bench here. I love showing this. It never gets boring. But sorry, that was Joe. He lost out because his internet was having some problems just now. So he's like, yeah, I don't know what happened. He disappeared, so he must have lost the internet. But yeah, I'm like, this is always fun to talk about. This Men 2 mag here. It's been through a lot.
And it still works?
And still works right now. So I'll tell you the story. We got the videos up there on it too, but those watching this. So basically, I wanted to test this one out and see how tough it was. So first off, I kind of do the regular, drop test, make sure it could drop out of the 7 different receiver sets I had without being stuck in the mag well. That wasn't a problem. Just dropped it on the concrete floor when I was doing that. Then I had it loaded and I was dropping it on the feed lips, trying to see if I can get something to get screwed up there. I threw it down range. It was cold out at the time. I mean, cold like wintertime, like ice on the ground, snow on the ground. I was whipping it at the ground, trying to see if I can get something to crack or break or something on it. And no. So then I'm like, all right. So I've seen some other videos where people put the drive their trucks over to the mags to see if it would crack it or whatever. So I took my Super Duty, my F250, diesel, put the front tire over it. I put it with the lug for the magazine catch facing down, as you can see, all scratched up. So I had it facing down on the ground, drove my truck up onto it, turned it back and forth a few times like this, just to rub it into the ground. Didn't crack, didn't split, nothing. Ran fine, locked into place fine, didn't slip out or anything of the receiver. So I got the idea. I'm like, hey, kind of fun to go shoot this. So Toby, who is a friend of ours, went off the range with him. He put 6 shots through it. And the cool thing was, the entrance, as you can see, nice clean holes just from the 2-3 rounds. We punched right through it with the AR. The exit wounds, so to speak, part of this is blown out because it's on the outside, and the bullet goes through kind of clean, and it's probably starting to tumble and whatnot a little bit, maybe for that half a millisecond that it traveled through it or whatever. But mainly because it was hitting the spring and it ripped the spring out the side. That's pretty much why the whole side of this blew out. So the original spring that was in here, I replaced it. But needless to say, my thought was I think we did like a couple shots through it and it was still functioning fine. I want to say, I can't remember. It's been a while, but needless to say, as we got the 6 shots through it, the spring, did split and break, and a piece of the spring was sticking out the side. And I'm like, okay, well, hit the spring, it's probably not going to work. Well, lo and behold, even with the spring stuck out of the side, there was still tension on the follower. I'm like, let's see what we can do with it. Let's see how many rounds we can put in. First, like, let's put a few. And I'm like, no, let's put as many as it'll take into it, which was about 15, I believe. And let's see if it would run. Ran off 15 rounds, and it locked the bolt back. There was enough spring tension, even with the spring broken in half. Like when I took it out, literally it was 2 pieces to be able to do that. Now, I couldn't put more than 15 rounds in it because the way the spring was hooked out the side, the follower wouldn't go past that area because the spring's hooked out the side, so it couldn't pass up that spot. So afterwards, like, well, I wonder if it'll work with replacing the spring. So I had another magazine that was new, and just pulled the spring and follower all out in one piece because it's kind of the spring's kind of hooked into the follower, and just put it in there and closed it up, and we loaded it up, and you could see the brass from the rounds all the way down, and it ran it perfectly fine, 30 rounds, and locked the bolt back still. So I'll still shoot this mag just for fun. I won't use it in like competitions or like any life or death situation, but I don't have a problem loading it up and going to take it to the range just for fun to shoot with it because it's just still a mag at the end of the day. Oh, interesting. Laura sent me a message just now on Facebook. It said, here, I found my shotgun. Apparently she wants to get a Vepr 12 gauge. Okay, so I guess we'll look at that. I don't know how that came across that idea, but random sidebar thought. I'll have to check that out with her later on and see what that's all about. But she's been in the market for looking for a shotgun for doing 3-gun and so forth with, and so we're looking at different options for that. So, yeah, but anyway, Med 2 mags, they make some good stuff. I mean, not to say that anyone else's mags are any better or any worse, and like that. I use a lot of other ones like Magpul. I like the DNH, aluminum mags. You can get them at Palmetto State Armory a lot for like around $7 a lot of times. What else do I use? Of course, Hex Mag, and I just bought some Troy mags, actually, the battle mags. I picked some up from the Range 385 a while back, and I haven't even had a chance to use them yet. And I know I'm missing some other ones, but there's a lot of great mags that are out there that work. I like M2 mags, just as one of my choices that I use, and I like they got the 2 on the bottom, for the floor plate, and of course, what really impressed me was this whole torture test and still having a mag that runs in the end. Not that you're really going to shoot your mags at the range or drive over them. Well, you might drive over your car if you drop it or something, sure, but yeah, not that you're necessarily going to blow holes through it, but they're pretty durable. So, that being said, I don't know if you guys got any final thoughts you wanted to wrap things up with tonight. But I know we've got some other events coming up. I'll mention this too, is that this weekend we've got we should be meeting with Trace Armory Group. They have a class going on this weekend, so hopefully we'll do some filming with them to kind of share with everybody kind of what they do and so forth, and make some videos. So I'm excited about that. Anytime you get to go to the range is always great. So there's that. We got SHOT Show coming up in January, and thinking about doing. Still got to work out all the details on getting there. Of course, the planning out our timing and flights and all that kind of stuff. We're trying to work on that. But got that. We also got the NRA show will be coming up, in Dallas. Kind of thinking about going to that. I haven't been to Texas yet, so it'll be kind of neat. But anyway, I'm rambling, so I will start with you, Corey. If you got anything you want to mention, final thoughts?
TJ, I loved all your stuff and all your answers for my questions that I had. about the tourniquets and the med kits and everything. I also love that Colt that you have. That's pretty neat. I love that 1911. Other than that, we finalized a logo. Now we just gotta spiffing it up a little bit and get that going and crank out some labels. Like I said, I found out I have to have 2 more leg surgeries this afternoon, but one is for sure. I've only scheduled the one, so hopefully I won't be down too long because I got to go back to school. But other than that, nothing else is going on. Getting ready for a couple hunts this week. We're hunting on Thursday and hunting on Saturday. Indiana's open day on Saturday and finishing Kentucky on Thursday. Other than that, that's all that's going on here. I appreciate being on again and seeing everybody and learning some new stuff as always.
Enjoy having you. So you're gonna get like bionic legs now?
Okay. This is how it happened. I went to my surgeon last week, the one that's done the operation so far, and he is just absolutely stumped. Like he doesn't know exactly what it is because every time he gets in there, it's completely different than what's in the medical books. So he had me go to another surgeon in Louisville to get a second opinion, and he said that he just didn't make a longer incision than what he already had, and that should fix it. And he's also going to do the opposite side of the leg as well. So he's going to do the inside and outside of the leg, and release the muscles on both sides. So hopefully that'll take care of it.
Awesome. I hope so, man.
So
hopefully
lot of work. I love crutches now. I love crutching up 18 sets of stairs. I mean, it's just it's awesome. I love it. I love it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Kent, you got anything you want to wrap up with tonight?
Well, just real quick. Veterans Day was this past weekend, so thanks to all those guys and gals.
Yes, thank you.
TJ, we have at least one here. Thank you. Let's see what else. Hunting season for sure. Getting out and actually helped my buddy run the deer check station this past weekend. So I got to actually see deer because God knows when I go hunting, I never see any. So I got to see all my local neighbors and got to hear them give me shit about how this is what a deer looks like.
We usually see them on the side of the road out here.
Yeah. No, the boys did pretty good this weekend. We checked in like I'm gonna say 31 deer over Saturday, Sunday, and then today they did.
Wow.
And we had some good mature animals especially for Vermont, and one dude with a real nice 12-point, 200-pound animal, which for Vermont is like a goddamn giant. So
yeah,
very very cool for that. But yeah, that's all I got. It was always awesome to be on.
Cool.
Good time.
And of course, TJ, yes, I agree with Corey. Great insight and information on the medical side, and I do dig that 1911 as well.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, that 1911 is probably one of the. I said I don't get involved in that 1911.
You have to repeat that because it was kind of garbled for a second there.
Oh, I said I'm not a platform junkie. I'm not 1911 or Glock.
Yeah, exactly.
Get out and train with it. But I will tell you that Colt is probably one of the pride and joys of my collection. It's got a lot of sentimental value to it. Again, it was my first one. It's probably going to be my only one. My buddy Jeff really helped me out while I was deployed, getting that thing running to the level that it is now. And it's just a great shooter. But yeah, with the medical stuff and guys, we're all pro gun guys here, obviously. But the medical stuff, even those friends and family members that you guys might have that are, I won't say necessarily anti-gun, but maybe nervous about carrying a gun on a daily basis.
Yep.
They can still go out and get medical training. I mean, imagine the amount of lives that would have been saved. And again, to not to harp on it, but look at that perfect storm of all hell breaking loose that was the Vegas concert. Imagine if all of those people would have had a tourniquet in their car or some sort of just very basic, combat level trauma kit. And I'm not talking Band-Aids and butterfly stitches. I mean tourniquets, compact gauze and stuff like that, and knew how to use it. So much more could have been done. And there's proof of those people that were able to render that aid that did save lives.
Sure.
So I would even venture to, or I would even argue that if someone's on the fence, if you don't live in an area where you have to worry about defending yourself all the time, you should at least go out and get medical training. Let's take the gunshot stuff out of it. Look at a car accident, or any type of other. Any one of us are far more likely to come across a traumatic scene not involving a firearm than we are coming across or being put into a situation where we actually have to draw our gun.
Yeah.
That's why there's days I will leave home without my gun, but I will always have a medical kit in my car, and I encourage everybody to go out and go get trained on that. There are countless companies, former combat medics, former SF medics, Navy SEAL medics that offer that type of training. A lot of them will even come to you at your local range. You can get a group together, have them come to your place of employment. That's one thing that can get trained everywhere. That's medical, trauma and first aid. So I encourage everybody to get that kind of training done. I didn't get to talk too much about the holsters. The struggle is real. I think every one of us have that drawer full of holsters trying to find the perfect one. So I've actually become a fan of the Bravo Concealment torsion holsters. I have one for my P320. That's a large size firearm. I don't care if it's compact or whatever you want to call it, but that's a large gun compared to others. And that torsion holster, I barely even notice it's there. So great holster for that one. But there's several other great holsters out there that the quest continues. Sadly, I won't actually get to go hunting this year. We just moved into this new house. So I haven't had a chance to go out and go scouting or anything like that. And it's been a busy year for me. So no hunting this year, but actually my brother and I are going to try to get out to Maine next year. He's got some friends up there. We're probably going to pick up a couple of 6.5 Creedmoors and
nice.
See what kind of cute furry things with faces we can put on our dinner table.
There you go.
But yeah, other than that, man, always a pleasure to join you guys every week.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you.
Yeah.
So,
we have fun. It's good talk. On the hunting note too, believe it or not, I have not been hunting yet. Something I'm interested in, but haven't had the opportunity to. Of course, growing up in the suburbs of Chicago, I just didn't have that exposure to it. I got more into guns for the self-defense aspect, and then even further into it for the competition and just the fun aspect of target practice and so forth. And
you could have probably killed some pigeons with an airsoft gun or something,
Okay, I will say I did shoot some squirrels with my BB gun.
Okay, well that
as
works.
As a kid.
Okay, hold on. You guys, story time real quick.
Okay.
So my second deployment to Iraq, I was still in the service at the time, and one of our captains brought an air rifle with him to Iraq with us. Because there's pigeons everywhere. So at night, when he wasn't working, he would shoot pigeons off the wall that surrounded our little compound area. And he wouldn't bother with them. He'd shoot them. They'd fall over dead. No big deal. Well, it actually sent that entire base into a state of panic, thinking that there was a bird flu outbreak. These guys are just driving by and they see this pile of dead birds on the side of the road up against the wall, and they're thinking, "Oh my God, we're having a bird flu outbreak."
That's great.
It was amazing.
On that happy note.
Well, wait, you're not allowed to go hunting until you watch Red Dawn. I've
Fair enough. I want to watch it because I keep hearing all this buzz about it every time there's an anniversary or whatever it is, So.
Are we talking the old 1980s Red Dawn or the new Red Dawn?
Wait, there's a new one?
Yeah,
there's two.
Okay. Now,
I
you
haven't
have to
seen
watch.
either of them.
No, you have to watch the original first. I will say the second one will never be as good as the first,
Oh, no.
but it's still entertaining because of the situation.
Yeah.
That it's much more modern. But no, you have to watch. If you don't watch the new one, you have to watch the original one.
I want to watch the original one.
Patrick Swayze all day
Definitely.
long.
Yep, I keep seeing all the photos and stuff of that. I want to see that. Is that the thing that had like the chairs against the wall or something like that?
Oh, that dates back to World War II, actually.
What is that? Was that in that movie? Because I thought someone mentioned that. Okay.
Yeah.
See,
It was
that's how clueless I am because I haven't seen it. But
yeah. So no, the chair against the wall and John has a long mustache are code words or secret messages that were passed via radio stations
right.
During World War II, and they bring it up in that movie. They don't really go into detail as to why in that movie they brought it up, but it's got a history back all the way to World War II.
That's what I heard someone say when I asked about that.
Yeah.
Like someone was using that little audio clip in a video, and I was like, "What is that all about?" And like, "Oh, it's from Red Dawn." I'm like, oh, "Okay." So
Yeah,
I have not seen it.
That was when Charlie Sheen was actually winning.
So I
Back in
guess
those days.
I know we're already over time, but I'll say this: give me a little snaps to what the movie's all about because I don't really know the whole thing.
Dude, you can have this over in like 2 hours. Just get on
Yeah.
Netflix. Just be done with it tonight. Just get after it.
Okay, so simply let's just watch the damn thing and don't worry about it.
In short, the Russians and the Cubans. Keep in mind, the old movie. So during the height of the Cold War or shortly thereafter, but the Russians and the Cubans invade the United States.
Okay, gotcha.
Like straight up air assault, parachute landing into the heart of America, and this small town of teenagers is forced into the mountains, and they continue to fight with guerrilla tactics.
Nice.
These are high school kids.
That's what I kind of gathered.
Of course, this all took place in that back when America wasn't filled with snowflakes and a bunch of pussies. So
Right.
we actually stood a chance against something like that.
Back when like 30-year-olds played high schoolers.
Yeah. You see the more modern day snowflake in the new ones. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Damn it! I hate it when
when
you're
the
right.
Russians team up with the Koreans, you start to see snowflakes. I mean, I'm just saying.
Okay.
You're going to have to get a third channel, man, because this one's going to get shut down.
I know it will. I have multiple ones, but yeah, we'll have to keep making new ones. Of course, we also got, speaking of that, we're on YouTube, VidMe, Facebook, Instagram. So but as far as the video stuff, VidMe is a new one that we're exploring into. That we're hosting videos on there, so check that out. But yeah, it definitely there's a big assault on gun channels, of course, and it may not necessarily be YouTube per se. It might just be people out there that don't like guns that are just going after us and flagging anything they can flag and to get the videos taken down. But anyway, on that note, we can go ahead and wrap things up. Thanks guys for joining us. Thanks everybody for watching. And as always, have fun shooting.